Boy, y'all caught here just in time. It's perfect timing, because I was going to mention, that it's incredible. I don't speak any other languages. Like, I can mumble my way through Greek sometimes, but I don't speak any languages. And y'all, it's amazing that you come here. How many languages do y'all know how to speak? 3. She's got 3. You've got 2. Yeah, so we have a lot of friends. Daniel's got another language over there. We got a lot of friends here who speak a lot of different languages. Deborah's husband, Anthony, he's learning a little bit of English here and there. Some of you know that we have a Congolese church that meets here in the afternoons, and their pastor speaks like 8 languages, which is just, that doesn't make sense to me how anyone can do that. They were going to be here to worship with us, so we had a little trick today where I was going to highlight the most important couple sentences of the sermon, and Issa was going to translate for his people, because his people are really new, and most of them, the most English they have, this is the most they know right now, is, "Hi, Pastor!" Sunday morning when I'm going over there, "Hi, Pastor!" Which is great. I love that. But yeah, so Issa's not here, so we're not going to do the full translation. I don't think Anthony's here. But I might just call on you to repeat these most important sentences of a sermon. Mostly with sermons, Andy, you can agree, Daniel, you might, I don't know. Most of what we say when we preach, throw away. But then once in a while, when the Spirit hits right and your ears are open, then maybe a word of God comes out in one sentence at a time. Back 20 years ago, we had this retired preacher at the church I worked at, and he was somewhere between 90 and 130 years old. I couldn't tell. He used to sit up on one of the fancy seats up here, but he kept falling asleep. So they put him down there, and one day it was, sometimes services just take so long, and there's so many extra verses, or the children's sermon goes forever. And when the pastor not me, the other pastor got up to preach, it was 10:45 already. And so he reaches out, he says to the 95-year-old, he's like, "Roy, what are we supposed to do here? We don't have time for a full sermon." And Roy, without missing a beat, said, "Give us the first page and the last and throw out the middle." And I kind of like that, so we'll be doing what we do here. First most important phrase of the day, welcome to Palm Sunday. You can repeat that. Anyone else who is at home, you can do the same. If this is a service that is designed, if grandma is back in the home country and doesn't speak the most English, and you want to go online and watch this service, there will be space for you to translate these little phrases. So we're ready to honor the Palm Sunday story when Jesus enters Jerusalem for a big holy festival on a donkey's colt. He could have come on a regular horse. He could have come on a big war horse. We're going to try this here. Jesus entered on a donkey, not a war horse. Okay, and we come here today. We bundle ourselves up one more time this spring. Just one more time. One more time this spring to celebrate that Jesus was more interested in showing up on a humble donkey than a majestic war horse. He was more comfortable. I don't know how many farms y'all have been around, but if you haven't been to a farm, think of Shrek and the donkey in Shrek. Okay? It's squat, it's stinky, it's loud, it's stubborn. That's what a donkey is, all those things. Jesus was more interested in that image than with a powerful, well-trained, well-groomed kind of horse that generals or governors would typically arrive in. He cared more about a peaceful heart than authority. Or we might say Jesus was actually more interested in regular people like us when we feel squat and stinky and loud and stubborn, some of you. Jesus is more interested in us as we are than expecting us to get everything in order before we come and meet God. We were not expected to be well-groomed. We were not expected to be well-trained. We were not expected to be powerful. Jesus reaches out to regular people, not perfect people. Jesus reaches out to regular people, not perfect people. Okay, so Jesus never glorified, he didn't ever prioritize power. But that does not mean he was weak or non-confrontational. I think sometimes the Jesus that gets painted in our image is sometimes sissified. He's sometimes just a kind of a weak guy. Not the case. One of the very next stories in Holy Week is Jesus going to a temple courtyards, tons of people, animals, everything's for sale. So you know there's guards there. If there's a lot of money, I mean, even our Presbyterian women's yard sale, you got somebody standing there who can watch the money. So you can imagine in the temple, there's someone standing there watching the money, and Jesus goes and he flips the tables, and the way the story's told is just coins go everywhere, and he's got like a whip, not for the people, but like to move the animals the way you do it. He's flipping the tables to protest a church that has blessed a regressive tax system that hurts the poor and helps the rich. Now, if the donkey arrival didn't get enough people's attention, this put him right in the sights of the town government and all the military police. And by the way, just to put a point on this, even though this is a holy day, I'm just going to mess up and speak some truth. Every time you hear a political candidate talk about or bray about tax cuts for the rich or cutting benefits to the poor, Jesus flips that campaign table. Jesus rode a donkey to flip over those tables so that poor folks have real access to real support and spiritual connection. He saw through all the propaganda. They had fake news back then about who deserves what and what's going to trickle down. And for all things like that, to support the poor, Jesus showed a powerful moral authority, not weak, powerful. And later in that week, after the donkey, after what scholars call the temple tantrum, we know that his resolve was strong, his mind, his heart, his strength. His vision was clear. His willingness to suffer for a higher purpose was beyond compare. Jesus was never weak, but he also never got caught up in the silly games of showing how strong you need to be. He refused to be complicit in any message that added burdens to our life. Life's already hard enough. We don't need more expectations. We have enough expectations on our own self. We don't need to make up expectations and then sanctify them to God. He refused to take part in any system that added anxiety or shame to your life. And he was willing to carry the consequences of that. Gandhi said the only difference between Christ and all the rest of us is he was willing to carry the consequences of the things he believed in. Difficult, new, life-giving patterns. And this is what the donkey means. I'm going to be peaceful no matter how much work it takes. But that does not mean weak. So, the donkey is a symbol of God's goal of peace. The donkey is a symbol of God's goal of peace. The donkey points to a peace that takes time to get there. If you've ever been around a donkey, if you ever tried to walk a donkey, tried to ride a donkey, they're going to do whatever they want. I mean, they're like a 3-year-old. They do whatever they want, but you can't, pull them around. So sometimes peace is on its own agenda. It takes time. The donkey is a symbol of God's peace that starts with all of us, not just the leaders in charge. It's a peace that comes from something that everyone can do. You don't have to have special talents. You don't have to have special privilege. You don't have to have special anything. This kind of peace is not just the absence of war. It is a commitment to a better way of living wherever you start from. And by the way, this processional, we have all the evidence we need. Like, we don't have a video of this, back then, but we have all the evidence we need that this thing happened. What we're talking about, this story, it happened on March 28th in the year 33 CE. In, 4 more days, that is 1,991 years that we still are trying to get to a better peace. We're still trying to follow down that path. It's a long commitment to a new way of life, not just for you, but for the whole world at large. Okay, this is not Donkey Sunday, right? But we're talking about donkeys. This is Palm Sunday, so you got to get them ready, because And this is why it's Palm Sunday and not it's Donkey Sunday in some churches, and it just so happens we're doing a animal thing, so we've got the donkeys. But as Jesus crossed from the Mount of Olives down a valley up to the Temple Mount, go through those gates, we know pretty well where that path was. Paths change over 2,000 years, but we got a pretty good idea. As he rode his donkey across a valley that is about the size of Dimpledale. Okay, so if you're from around here, go look over like the biggest section of Dimpledale, and just it's in that range. You can imagine walking down there, the crowds, all that. He traveled past merchants, tons of little side shops there. He traveled alongside other religious pilgrims who had no idea who he was. They're just trying to get to Jerusalem for the holiday. He traveled by Roman police and Jewish nationalists who watched him with suspicion and anger. And as he rode that donkey in a display of peace, the crowd responded by waving palms. Waving palms. Okay, totally weird. If this is your first time ever in church, we don't wave palms every Sunday. We should. Some of you want to. In Utah, it might feel exotic to wave a palm. You might think, palms remind me of sitting on the beach in Puerto Rico, and that feels like relaxation. So palms might remind you of relaxation, vacation, ease. Okay, that's great. But first century Israel, palm branches meant something a lot deeper than that. So palms are the perfect response to an invitation to peace. Palms are a perfect response to an invitation for peace. But I got to explain it. Yeah, you can believe me, but I got to explain it. So America, we have a flag. We've had other flags. We've had lots of flags in this country. We have an eagle. Back when I grew up in Arkansas, people would just hang eagles everywhere. God, it was kitsch. They were just eagles. We have, one of the symbols of our country is this lady holding a torch. We have a lot of symbols, and they mean something to most of you out there. They mean something. Now imagine, just imagine, terrible, but what if somebody or some country were to take over or destroy the America that you know and that you've lived in? Imagine they propped up new symbols, new flags, new ideas. Imagine if your kids and then their kids they had to live under not only just new symbols, they had to live under new oppression, under abuse, under threat. Threat for who you are, for what you do, for what you believe. Not just religious beliefs. When churches say what you believe is important, I don't care about a list of dumb, I believe X, Y, Z things. What I care about is I believe in equality. I believe in hope. I believe that the world deserves to help those who are hurting. Take those beliefs and imagine that new symbols say no to all those, and you can't believe in equality. You can't believe in helping those who hurt. Now, don't just imagine a threatening future. Imagine generations living under this, their hope choked away. Imagine generations that they look back, maybe with rosy glasses, they look back and say, that felt more peaceful. I miss that. I miss those days. The stories that Grandpa told where we could treat women with respect, those were the days. The stories back when refugees were welcomed, those were the days. That was peaceful in here. Imagine in that scenario, someone holds up a figure of Lady Liberty, and you don't know everything about it, but silently you know that welcoming the huddled masses is a better way to live. Or imagine that scenario. Someone holds up an image of an eagle clutching olive branches, and you remember some good old days. Or at least you remember that there was a story that somehow we were called to bring peace to the world. Whether we did it well or not, that's what we were called. That's who we thought we were. Imagine after generations indoctrinated with those people are pure and those aren't. Those people are worthy and those aren't. Someone held up the stars and bars. And you just got a sense, gosh, it takes a lot of different people. It takes a lot of different colors. It takes a lot of different shapes to put into one country to make it the best. Okay? You get that idea? Now, waving palms for the first century Israel is a way of saying there were some good old days. It's a way of saying, I remember when there was peace in this country. It's a way of saying, the prophets had an idea. Even when there were bad kings, they could speak out and say, this is a way for peace. Waving palms is a way of saying, I dream of no more abuse, no cruelty, no hatred, no greed, nobody left out, no crippling anxiety, no despair. I dream of a real peace. And Jesus declared, that's a better way to live. And when Jesus declared that, the people said, that's what we want. Show me how to get there. Show us the way. Show us the way there. And literally the next sentence on my thing here is, Bwana Yesu asifiwe. Yeah, see, that was good timing. That was good timing. Isa tells me that Bwana Yesu asifiwe means, may Jesus' peace be to you. That's in their language in the Congo. Now, I have a buddy from years ago from Canada. He did a mission year in the Congo, and years ago, he taught me that phrase before Isa, and he said, it means Jesus is the man. And I think they both work. I think they both work. So let's try it in both translations. First of all, Bwana Yesu asifiwe. Amen. Bwana Yesu asifiwe. Jesus is the man. Yeah. Jesus is the man is our way to, that's what the palms say. The palms are waving and saying, I have this vision, and it looks like him, and he's going to show us the way. In their language, when they waved the palms, they said this word, Hosanna. This is the one Sunday of the year we say Hosanna. It means, the literal translation is save us. But it's more of just a phrase that people said. And as people were walking along the Temple Mount, and they sensed something in Jesus' spirit that felt like he can save us from this. Did they know how to follow it? No. Did they believe all the right things? No way. The people who are waving these palms, none of them are like regular followers of Jesus or indoctrinated in Sunday school. Did they know what it would take to live out a full peace? None of us ever know the full costs of what it would take, even when we get a glimpse of a better way. But they were captivated in their spirit, and so they shouted out, Hosanna. They shouted out, save us from ourselves, save us from these patterns we are stuck in. Save us from those oppressors, yes, but save us from the things that we can't even seem to change. We try every day. We make pledges every month, and we can't seem to change us. Like change it. Like, can you save us from the need to be right all the time? Can you save us from the need to be busy all the time? Can you save us from loneliness? Can you save us from hopelessness? Save us from all of that and save us to something better. Palm Sunday invites us and it orients us to be part of the solution, even as we're caught up in all the problems. It invites us to be part of the solution, even when we are part of the problem. It invites us into humble strength. It invites us into redemptive hope. It offers a vision for real healing and wholeness and balance for our lives that so much seem teetering. So, Hosanna. May it be so. Okay, the next